These are the real Wild West saloons that Hollywood got completely wrong. When most people picture an Old West saloon, they see ornate establishments with crystal chandeliers, polished mahogany bars, and elegantly dressed patrons sipping fine whiskey. But the truth is far grittier than the movies would have you believe. The first saloon wasn't some grand establishment. It was literally a tent erected over a barrel of whiskey at Brown's Hole, Wyoming in 1822, serving fur trappers who just needed to forget the brutal realities of frontier life. Let's start with what saloons actually were. The word itself comes from the French salon, meaning a large reception hall, but American saloons were anything but refined gathering places. Most were simple structures with boards laid across empty barrels for tables, serving anyone willing to pay for a drink. Cowboys earning $30 a month, miners covered in dust, soldiers, lumberjacks, businessmen, lawmen, and yes, outlaws too. The sheer number of these establishments tells us everything about their importance to frontier life. By 1880, Fort Worth, Texas had just 9 churches but over 60 saloons. Leavenworth, Kansas boasted about 150 saloons and 4 wholesale liquor houses. When gold was discovered near Santa Barbara in 1848, the town went from having 1 saloon to over 30 in just a few years. Virginia City, Nevada supported over 100 saloons during its heyday in the early 1870s. But here's what's fascinating. These weren't just places to drink. Saloons became the social, economic, and sometimes legal centers of frontier towns. Judge Roy Bean ran his courtroom from the Jersey Lily Saloon in Langtry, Texas, using it as a combination bar, courtroom, billiard parlor, and jail. In one notorious case, Bean found a dead railroad worker carrying $40 and a pistol, ruled the death accidental, then imposed a posthumous $40 fine for carrying a weapon. The economics of saloons reveal just how profitable they were. A shot of whiskey that cost the saloon owner wholesale prices got marked up 30 to 60%. In remote locations like the Yukon Territory, customers paid 50 cents per shot. A popular dance hall girl could earn more in a single night than a working man made in a month, averaging 50 dances at 75 cents to $1 each, with proceeds split between her and the saloon owner. The infamous free lunch wasn't actually free, it was a marketing strategy. Saloons offered elaborate meals to anyone who bought at least 1 drink, and these lunches were typically worth far more than the price of that drink. It was brilliant business designed to keep customers drinking longer. Now, about those famous swinging doors. They weren't just for show. The batwing doors served multiple practical purposes. They allowed fresh air to circulate while preventing people from looking directly inside from the street. Even better, they let the sounds of music and laughter spill onto the street, advertising the good times to potential customers. But here's what Hollywood never shows you. Saloons had heavy double doors that could be bolted shut during closing hours to prevent theft. The quality of liquor served in most saloons was absolutely terrible. The house whiskey was often called Tanglefoot, 40 Rod, Tarantula Juice, or Coffin Varnish, names that should tell you everything about its quality. This rot gut was frequently 100 proof and cut with turpentine, ammonia, gunpowder, or cayenne pepper. Popular drinks included cactus wine, made from tequila and peyote tea, and mule skinner, a mixture of whiskey and blackberry liquor. Beer wasn't much better. It got served warm, usually between 55 and 65 degrees, and customers had to drink it quickly before it went flat. It wasn't until 1880 that Adolphus Busch introduced refrigeration and pasteurization, launching Budweiser as America's first national beer brand. The violence we associate with saloons is largely mythical. Researchers studying former saloon sites in Virginia City found more bottles, smoking pipes, and game boards than bullets or signs of violence. The worst recorded year for any frontier town was Dodge City in 1876 and Ellsworth in 1873, each with only 5 killings. Even Tombstone's most violent year, 1881, saw just 5 deaths, 3 of which were the cowboys shot at the OK Corral. Most frontier towns actually had strict gun control laws that would shock modern Americans. The first law passed when Dodge City formed a government in 1878. Prohibited carrying guns within town limits. Tombstone's Ordinance No. 9, enacted in April 1881, banned carrying deadly weapons in town. When you entered most frontier settlements, you were legally required to check your guns at the stables or with the sheriff, receiving a token in exchange, much like checking your coat at a restaurant today. But saloons weren't welcoming to everyone. Despite serving a diverse clientele of miners, cowboys, and drifters, they practiced strict segregation. Black cowboys, lawmen, and workers weren't welcome in white establishments and had to open their own. William Brown, a free black man from Massachusetts, founded the Boston Saloon in Virginia City in 1864, which archaeological evidence shows served higher quality food than many white-owned establishments. The discovery of the world's oldest Tabasco sauce bottle at the Boston Saloon suggests an interest in exotic cuisine that contradicts stereotypes about frontier dining. Women faced similar exclusion. Unless they worked as saloon girls or were among the rare female gamblers, respectable women didn't enter saloons. This tradition lasted until World War I. The famous saloon girls, contrary to popular belief, were rarely prostitutes. Their job was to encourage drinking and dancing, selling dance tickets and earning commissions on drinks. They provided companionship in a frontier where men outnumbered women at least 3 to 1. The most famous saloon death occurred on August 2nd, 1876. When Wild Bill Hickok was shot in the back while playing poker in Deadwood Saloon number 10. The hand he supposedly held, 2 pairs of black aces and 8s, became known as the dead man's hand, though this connection wasn't made until the 1920s when writer Frank Wilstach popularized it in his biography of Hickok. Some saloons became legendary. The Long Branch in Dodge City, the Bucket of Blood in Virginia City, the Jersey Lily in Langtree, and the Birdcage Theater in Tombstone all played host to famous gunfighters, lawmen, and outlaws. Several noted gunmen, including Wyatt Earp, Bat Masterson, Doc Holliday, and Ben Thompson, owned saloons or worked as bartenders and dealers. The beginning of the end came in 1893 with the founding of the Anti-Saloon League, which grew into America's most powerful prohibition lobby, eventually pushing through the 18th Amendment in 1920. But by then, the frontier era was already ending, and with it, the unique culture of the Wild West saloon. Today, archaeological excavations of former saloon sites continue revealing new insights about daily life on the frontier. These digs consistently show that saloons were more about community and survival than the violence Hollywood depicts. They were places where lonely, hard-working people found companionship, entertainment, and temporary escape from the harsh realities of frontier life. The real Wild West saloon wasn't the romanticized establishment of Hollywood westerns. It was grittier, more practical, and far more regulated than we've been led to believe. But in many ways, that reality is more fascinating than the fiction. These establishments were the beating heart of frontier communities, serving as everything from social clubs to courtrooms, from entertainment venues to business centers. They represent a unique chapter in American history when the rules of civilization were still being written, one shot of rot gut whiskey at a time.